CM Punk's altercations with AEW stars Jack Perry and the Elite have once again entered the conversation following Punk's recent comments on the matter, and AEW's subsequent airing of his and Perry's scuffle at All In during AEW Dynamite. Prior to the incident at All In, Punk was also at the centre of a firestorm following All Out 2022, launching into a verbal tirade against Executive Vice Presidents Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks during the post-show presser, before what would become known as Brawl Out. Omega took the chance to address his side of things during the Brawl Out incident during a recent Twitch stream. Omega admitted that there had been a number of times where he felt that a physical altercation would have been the only way forward when dealing with someone, but cooler heads prevailed and they were able to become better friends through it with a higher degree of respect. He thinks in a contained scenario, a little tussle can be conducive for a positive work environment. But that's exactly why he feels he shouldn't have had any authority on the matter. Omega further went on to reveal that he and Punk share no further bad blood, at least from his side of things. He even thinks they may have been able to talk things through if it wasn't for another factor. Omega stated that he hasn't had power within AEW for more than 4 years, and considers himself a terrible executive vice president, undeserving of the title. He also noted that he was at least able to get Larry, Punk's dog, out of the melee, if nothing else.
I thought my duty as an EVP during Brawl Out would be to enter the situation while there was chaos, de-escalate it, and create a peaceful environment for everyone. I was able to create a peaceful environment for the most important person in that altercation, and that was Larry. And I swear to God, honestly, that was my biggest, and yeah, it sounds funny, but like, I look at animals and our pets as people, and as, you know, Dobby, of course, one of the most important people in my life. So to get little Larry out of there was the most important thing to me, and that was the success. Unfortunately, try as I may, things were too chaotic for me to be able to do anything by my own power. That was a moment when I had seen that there were... Good call. I believe it was in that instance when I realized that the way that I wanted to go about things wasn't necessarily the way that other people wanted to. It was also the way that other people necessarily didn't want to. And then it was also maybe not the way that the boss wanted to take care of it. And I also thought of myself as a liability because I don't want to say old school. I'm not old school. I've just played a lot of contact sports, and I've gotten into jiu-jitsu and boxing and mixed martial arts. I just know that sometimes when you perform or when you fight, when everything's on the line, when you give your heart, when you give your soul towards something, and you're in that moment of high stress or high anxiety, where you've maybe emptied the tank and you're just physically exhausted, when in an environment like that, sometimes emotions get the best of you and people will want to throw hands. And in the case, and I'm unfortunately or fortunately a believer of it, I think if it's decided that, hey, this is the best way to solve things, and you can shake hands after and move on after, I'm a believer. I'm actually a believer of fighting. I am, and it sounds terrible to say, and which is why, like, don't make me an EVP in 2024. You know, you can't do that stuff anymore. I just feel that sometimes that's how you have to settle things. Sometimes. And I don't mean you have to settle it and then it has to be shown on screen to everyone, or people have to brag online about who won, who lost. No, like, it's not for that purpose. It's for the purpose of just getting that stuff out that you need to get out. And I mean, I'll admit there were a number of times, even now with me, where I thought that might have been the most appropriate answer. It never came to that. And we were able to talk things out, and we became better friends, and there was a level of respect at that point on between myself and these other parties. And maybe I'll share these stories later. It's but I always, it's crazy. As much as I believe in cooler heads prevailing, sitting down and talking, sometimes it was just like, hey, I can't even think straight until I start throwing some hay, you know, and or maybe that I need to be smacked around a little bit, whatever the case might be. I think if it's a contained scenario and if it's not a situation where it's, you know, there's like pulling people's eyeballs out, you know, low blows, hair pulling or scratching, you know what I mean? If it's just like, hey, let's just hang and bang a little bit. I can see it sometimes being conducive for a positive work environment. Again, this is exactly why I have no power, nor should I. So that's just how I feel. And I'm gonna leave it at that.